All right, you guys, so we are here with Cassandra with Busy Sites. We are so excited to have you on today. Really having a chance to go through how you can use your website as a tool for efficiency. And I think this is really important as we start wanting to, not only retain our clients, but also use our website as a way to help new clients establish themselves within our practice and, eventually start getting out there and using our website as a way to gain new clients. So Cassandra, I'm so excited to have you here. If you want to introduce yourself, and then we'll kind of get started with this talk.
Absolutely. Thank you, Megan. I'm very excited to be here too. So as you said, we're going to talk about using your website as a tool for efficiency today. I am the Director of Client Experience at Busy Sites. So we do website design and marketing for clients. And I think a lot of people focus on how to get new business through your website, right? That's something, there's plenty of information online about that. But not as many people think about how websites can be used for your existing business and to make that process more efficient. So that's really my goal today. By the time we're done here, I really hope that you walk away with some things that you are going to, hopefully immediately go implement on your website, or at least look into implementing on the website. We're going to give you not just what the tools are, why they're good, but also how you can do it as well. So before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about efficiency and why I think this is so important. A team in a practice can be very productive, right? Hopefully all of you have very productive teams, getting stuff done all day, right? But a team can be productive without being efficient. Efficiency is where the money comes in. Efficiency is when you start to look at what you're doing and say, how can we do this exact same thing, produce the same experience to our pet parents, and produce the same results but with less hard costs, right? So we spend a lot of time thinking about this in the tech world, and so then that caused me to start thinking about this from the veterinary practice standpoint. How can we help you all to do the same thing? So the tools we're going to review today are going to show you how to do just that. And my promise to you is that they are either easy to implement yourself or very low cost to have your provider implement for you. So when you implement these tools, I think you're going to accomplish three main things. You're going to make your system for pet parents more convenient, so you're going to have happier clients. And then for your team, they're going to reduce all the repetitive tasks that they're sick of doing all day, every day, right? And spend more time on the enjoyable tasks and interacting with pet parents and pets, and the reason, that they got into this industry to begin with. So that's where I really think this comes in. So if that sounds good, if that's something everyone's on board for, then we can get started with the first tool.
Awesome.
All right, so tool number one is online forms. I think this is something that a lot of people have integrated onto their website, at least hopefully in the contact form or request appointment form format. Basically what it is it's the ability for your website users to provide that necessary information through your website so that you get it ahead of time via an email. The reasons I love this tool so much are, first of all, it's going to save you a lot of time at check-in, right? So how much time do you spend with multiple pet parents sitting in the practice filling out paperwork, right? Which is even harder right now when we can't have multiple pet parents in the waiting area. And with that saved time at check-in, what if you could open up a whole nother appointment slot that day? Because you're spending less time having people sitting in the waiting area. It also allows you to catch any potential red flags before they're there for the appointment. So if there's questions that the doctor needs to ask about medical history or anything else, your team can enter the information into the system faster. They're not trying to read who knows what kind of handwriting, right? Because it's online, they're copy pasting into your practice management system. And this is great for curbside service. I think more practices have started implementing that specifically for that reason. So how do we do it? The easiest way is to ask your website provider to do it for you, right? So you send them a copy of your forms, say, here's the fields that we want, and just have them fill it out. Now, if your website provider doesn't offer that option, or if you can't do it yourself through your website platform, I definitely suggest tools like JotForm. I think, Megan, you already have a few practices with Vertical Vet that are using JotForm and really like it.
Yeah, and they've all had really good things to say about that. Being able to use Jotform as a way to integrate it into their website because they weren't able to have their website designer kind of build that for them.
Absolutely, awesome. So some other types of forms to think about outside of the usual contact, request appointment, or new client form. Prescription refill is a great one.
Mhm.
I've had clients that do vacation release forms. So if the pet parent's going out of town, they enter the information for who's going to be caring for the pet while they're gone. Media releases. If you're a fear-free practice, doing the fear-free pre-visit questionnaire that they offer, you can have them fill that out ahead of time. And then we have bonus points if you want to use an online form as a client survey. This is a really, really good way to get client feedback by creating a very simple survey that gets feedback from your clients after an appointment. So why do I recommend doing this? Two main things. It's a really great way to catch problems before they turn into a negative review. So when you get that client feedback form and the client's upset about something that happened that day, you as the practice manager or lead technician can immediately reach out and say, hey, what happened? How can we resolve this, right? And then on the flip side, when you get that glowing feedback from the client who's been with you forever, or it was their first time visit with their new puppy and they just absolutely loved everything from the moment they walked in the door, ask them for that public review. And you really have created this simple way for you to do some really effective reputation management through your website. If you
That's
are gonna
awesome.
if you are gonna implement a client survey, keep it simple. 5 statements or less, where they can rate them like on a 1 through 5, and then a field for comments. Pretty cool way.
That is. And I have our first question coming in. So this is coming in from a practice outside of Charlotte, and they want to know how and if it's possible to integrate these forms on a website that is not only visible with a computer but also mobile. So are these forms kind of mobile friendly, and how to make sure that they are?
Absolutely. I love that. That's my favorite question. The reason that's my favorite question is because these are the most mobile friendly option. So not only are they going to work on a phone, but they really are going to provide the ideal experience for your pet parents who are on a phone. Especially, let's take a minute. I know everyone's sick of talking about COVID, but let's take a minute to think about that pet parent who's sitting in their car for their curbside appointment or their drop-off appointment, and they now can go through on their phone and fill out this information. So the thing I would liken it to, if you're not familiar with this, is how many of us have made a reservation through OpenTable, right? For a restaurant. You go in, you put usually your name, your phone number, how many people, maybe they ask you if it's for a special occasion, right? And you're always doing, maybe not always, I would say 90% of the time you're probably doing it on your phone, right? These forms work the same way. So very, very mobile friendly. All right.
Fantastic.
All right, now here's a little bonus automation for you that you all can do that's a little bit outside of the website. So with your practice management software, a lot of you probably have appointment confirmation emails. And most of the time through practice management softwares, those emails are populated via a template that you can edit, right? So you can change it to say whatever you want. So when you have that appointment confirmation email template, put a link to your new client form in that email. So you say, hey, we're looking forward to seeing Spot on Thursday at 2 o'clock for his wellness exam. Before the appointment, please fill out this form. And it's a link for them to click here. The reason you want to do that is because you're going to go through the work of getting these online forms on the website, right? And then if nobody knows they're there, they're not going to use them. This is the easiest way to make sure that your pet parents know that the forms are on the site and for them to actually buy in on using them, right? And the new client form is the first step of that.
And once a client fills out one of these forms, if they're forms like Jotform, for example, is there an email that gets alerted to you that you have a client that has completed a form, or does it integrate into your PIM system? Kind of how does the pathway work for that?
Absolutely. So most often it's going to be an email that comes directly to the practice email. This is a great way to do it because a lot of practices, you're already looking at the email all the time, right? Or you can say, okay, at the end of the day, before we close, we're going to go through and grab all the forms that came through that day and enter them into the system whenever it's quiet, right? So usually it's going to be an email. In that email, you're going to just have all of the information they submitted directly in the email. So there's nothing you have to download or no separate thing you have to log into. It's just right there and you can copy it all over.
Oh, nice. Okay, fantastic.
All right. If we don't have any other questions, I will move on to tool number 2. Perfect. Tool number 2 seems to be the controversial one, online bill pay.
I'm having a twitch, Cassandra. I know our listeners are having a twitch when they see online bill pay. This is a hard one.
It is, and I think it's hard for a few reasons, right? It sounds scary. I think anything having to do with credit card processing or payment or billing, we all get a headache, right? I'm right there with you. I'm not a billing person by nature, right? It's not my realm. However, this can kind of take away some of that headache. And additionally, I think the other reason people are scared of it is because it sounds like it's very complicated to implement, right? But this is what we're going to talk about. I promised you all the tools we're going to talk about are easy. This one's easy too. So basically, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's the ability for your clients to make payments online, starting at your website. So depending on what direction you end up going, it might be all the way through on your website, or it might take them to a separate platform to pay. Now, before I tell you how to do it, I have to convince you all that it's worth it, right? And it's not a terrible idea. So the first thing, kind of the obvious one, is this makes it really easy for you to collect deposits, right? So whether that's a deposit for a boarding stay or a drop-off appointment or a surgery or whatever that might be, this allows for your pet parents to make those deposits ahead of time. It's really great for drop-off appointments for them to pay, after the appointment. It's great for curbside service when they're sitting in the car. So that is probably my biggest one for all of you right now, because what's the problem that most practices are having is all their phone lines are being tied up, right? They're tied up with follow-ups or tied up with actually the exam happening and you're on the phone with the pet parent at the same time. And anything we can do to free up those phone lines right now is good. And so instead of having your team members taking that card information over the phone, let's just send them a link where they can go and do it right on the website, right? As long as they know the amount. Now, how to do it. My favorite thing that we had a past listener say, what was it, Megan? She said she had her website people talk to her credit card people and she walked away and let them handle it.
Yeah, that was Mary out in Ohio, I believe, and that was probably the easiest scenario. She felt like she couldn't do this, but what she found was that actually her, the company that handles her website and her merchant services, they wanted to communicate with each other. It was actually easier for them to work together than it was for this practice manager to really kind of facilitate all of that, especially because it really wasn't really her realm of understanding how that works. So it worked really well for her.
Yep, absolutely. And that's totally what I would recommend. I would say start there. Most of the time, from the website person's perspective, I can tell you most of the time it makes my life easier if I can talk directly to your credit card company. If that's not an option, or if there's some party involved is not willing to do that, then what I would suggest you do is reach out to your credit card processor first, or your merchant services company. Ask them if they offer an online payment portal or e-commerce option. Most of the time they do. I think once ever have I seen a platform that didn't already have something like that built in. Sometimes it might already be included in what you're paying them for. Sometimes it might be a little add-on monthly fee. Either way, you want to start there, go through them and get it all set up, and then usually it's going to be one of two things. It's either going to be a link that you're just going to have a pay my bill button on your website that just links them straight out, or it's going to be a little snippet of code. Don't let the code scare you. All you have to do usually is copy it, paste it into an email, send it to your website company, or if you're managing your website yourself, copy it and paste it into the area that you want the payment gateway to show up. Now, if your credit card processing company does not offer an option like this, what I generally recommend looking into is PayPal payment buttons. Again, very easy to set up. You click through the options you want, It gives you a little snippet of code you copy for the button and you can put it on your website. Or alternatively, your website provider might have an option that they offer. So I can tell you at VisiSites, for example, we have a credit card processing company that we've partnered with so that for our clients who their processor won't do it, we can say, we'll just set you up with ours and we'll take care of it on the website. So your website provider might do something similar. Does that make it less scary?
Yeah. It does. It does make it a little less scary. I do have a question coming in. So this caller is coming in, or this text message is coming in from South Carolina. And she asks, don't you have to have a PayPal account to pay with PayPal?
I get that question a lot. And actually, as much as PayPal would like you to think that, you don't. So you can pay with credit card with PayPal. They hide it. They make it a little difficult to see. But if you have the PayPal button on your website and your users click to that, it'll open a separate PayPal page. And on that page, there'll be the main like pay with PayPal blue button, right? And then grayed out underneath it so you don't notice it because they want you to create a PayPal account. There will be a button that says pay with credit card. Okay. And then they'll just go through that system. They don't have to log in or anything, and they can pay with their card of choice.
Okay.
One thing that was brought to my attention, and it was not actually from a clinic perspective, but from a client perspective, and it wasn't something I had thought about through the meetings that we've had, is she said, we offer wellness plans, and a lot of small animal or non-corporate clinics offer wellness plans now because there are companies that have made that feature. Her credit card expired and she didn't realize that it wasn't charging her wellness plan account. And she said that she would have loved an online bill pay option to just go on and so say she missed 3 months on her wellness plan. Well, if she called us and asked how much it was, then she could have just paid for it through the website. So that was another really cool feature that I hadn't thought about, putting that icon on the website so that it makes it easier for clients who are like busy in their workday to take care of something like that slipped their mind.
Mm-hmm. Great point. I'm so glad you brought that up, Angel, because you're right. That hasn't come up actually in our past groups for this. But on the wellness plan point too, something cool is most of these online payment options have a feature where your clients can set up a recurring payment through them too. So you could even have people signing up to begin with for wellness plans through your website if you have this option available, because they can say, here's one I want to do. They reach out to you, you make sure that's the one that they actually need. And then you say, hey, if you want to sign up today, go ahead and go to our website, set up your recurring payment for whatever amount, and you're good to go. I love that. Another concern that we had brought up before about this was if clients will actually pay their bill through the online bill pay. And the thing I always recommend if you're nervous about it or you feel like it's just not going to work is just dip your toe in the water. So we're not expecting you to go all in on this right off the bat, right? So what you can do is say, let's start using online bill pay just for the front end stuff first. So let's do it for deposits. Let's do it for, like you said, Angel, a wellness payment, failed and they need to go on and fix something there. And as you do that and you get your clients more accustomed to it, then you can start using it on the back end of, paying for drop-off appointments and things like that.
That's smart. You're just tipping your toe in, right? You're just dipping your toe and seeing how it works. No major changes that have to happen in the hospital, but it's just one way that you can really integrate this, on a sliding scale, right? See how you like it and see how your clients use it. I really like that idea, Cassandra.
Absolutely. All right. In case you're not convinced enough, I want to show you some statistics that really, in my eyes, make it very, very clear that online forms and online bill pay work. Granted, yes, this is partially due to the situation that we're in right now, but I think what's happening right now is pet parents are going to totally adjust to this new technology-driven connectivity world that we're having, right? And we have to be prepared for that.
Yes.
Totally agree. So this is what you're looking at here is a snapshot of one of our clients, Google Analytics, who is in San Antonio. Their website has had 19,000 sessions in the last 90 days. So to give you a little bit of context, they are an emergency pet clinic in San Antonio. Their insanely busy right now because they've had some clinics around them shut down due to what's going on. And on top of that, they're usually busy anyways because they're an emergency specialty place. So they've had 19,000 visits in the last 90 days. That first one that you're seeing here, emergency pet clinic response to COVID, that page has had 16,841 views. Now, what is that page? That is their check-in page. So for clients who are coming into the clinic, they are immediately directed to this online check-in form so they can check in from the parking lot that basically asks why they're there, et cetera, et cetera. It's an online form. So that form with the 16,000 visits, that's 88% of sessions to their website have included a visit to this online form page. That is an insanely huge number, especially in website terms. We're usually working in much lower numbers. So that's 88% of people that were using their website were using an online form on their website. Now, the third one that I want you to look at is, the second thing I want you to look at is the third most visited page on the website, which is that payment options link, 9,382 visits. Now, that payment options page, if you look at the menu on their website in the top right, there's a button that says Pay My Bill Online. That's what this page is. So that is 49%, so I'm going to call it half. Half of the sessions on their website included a visit to the online bill pay page. That's no small number. The reason I'm showing you this is for everybody to understand, if your pet parents know it's there, they will use it. They want to do things the easy way. Everyone has their phone in their hand all the time, right? They want things to be online and seamless and easy for them to do, especially right now without having to have more interaction, right? It
Absolutely.
Works. Definitely works. Any other questions on the bill pay note before I go on to our tool number 3?
I'm not seeing any come in on my end, so we'll check back kind of at the end and see if there's any other questions that come up. Sounds good. All right, tool number 3, FAQs, but more importantly, easy to find FAQs on the website. This is probably the easiest tool for you to implement that we're going to talk about today. Basically, what we're talking about here is frequently asked questions from the functionality side, so not the pet health side. We're not talking about a what do I do if this is happening to my pet question and answer, right? We're talking about, do you accept appointments? Do you handle emergencies? What types of pets do you see? Do you have payment plans? Whatever those questions are, right? Why should we do this? 2 main things. Number 1, pet parents use it. They love it. They want to find answers to their questions quickly, right? Number 2, and probably I think one of the biggest things of all the tools we're going to talk about today, is this is a huge time saver. So I guarantee you, your team at the front is answering the same questions like 50 times a day, and they are sick of it because they've got it memorized. The pet parent comes on, answers the question, and they know exactly what their 1-sentence answer is, so they can just get done or get them scheduled and move on to the next thing, right? Because they're trying to do 1,000 things every hour. So how are we going to decide what these FAQs are? You're going to go to the source. You're going to go to those people that are answering the phone all day, every day, and ask them, what are the questions that you get the most? Maybe ask them to pay attention for a week and write down, what are the questions they've answered multiple times today? And then create a list of questions. So most of our clients end up with probably 5 to 6 questions. If you end up with more than that, great. Just dedicate a whole page to it on your website. Now, most importantly, though, these questions should be answered very succinctly. So 1 to 3 sentences. We're not talking about questions that require super long paragraphs of answers, right? We want it to be easy to find, easy to read, and fast for your users to get that information. So again, you want a link to it on the homepage. You want it to be the questions from the front office team, and you want them to be answered short and sweet. I know, Megan, I think you had a great, in one of the meetings before, something that you had said about the difference too between talking to the front desk team. Yeah, absolutely. And this is when, you guys, I can't stress enough the importance of really getting this information from your CSRs, from your team that are handling the front desk, that are handling the phones. your technicians, your DVMs, they're amazing and they are a wealth of knowledge. But this is where you really want to target those employees that you have that are really good at being concise and giving that information in a small snippet. We don't need a paragraph here. This isn't, you know, all of the information that a client needs. It's really just that one sentence to direct them to what the next step needs to be. Do you offer wellness plans? No. But we do offer scratch pay and care credit with, you know, a sentence about what that is. So very, very short, very informational, but you're not getting really long-winded here. So the idea is within just a few seconds, your clients can have the answer that they're searching for. This is also a great way. I had a practice manager comment that this was a great team building exercise for her that she did with her front staff. They felt this was just a project that her front staff team were handling, that she as the practice manager went to her team and said, okay, you guys have a week, jot down the typical questions that you're being asked on a regular basis. And they interacted, the CSRs interacted with each other, they communicated with each other, they got those questions down, and it really gave them something that they got to do to help the practice. I think so many times we go to our DVMs, our owners, our technicians for those kinds of things, that bringing in the CSRs for that kind of problem solving was really important for her as a practice manager.
I love that. I love the team building. It gives them ownership of something. It's a great, and honestly, it's going to be so much more effective for you if you do it that way. So if you're not convinced yet, this is also one of my favorite things to look at in our visual analytics. So we have this tool. It's basically a heat mapping tool that allows us to see exactly how pet parents are interacting with our clients' websites, so where they're clicking and everything, right? This is a screenshot of that. So this is a simple FAQ section right on the homepage of one of our clients' sites. You can see there's 5 questions. They can see all the questions first, and when they find the one they want the answer to, they click, it opens it up, right? So a couple things I want to point out. First, it's 2 sentences. The answer to the question here, 2 sentences. It's, I'm having an emergency with my pet, what should I do? We're not going into first aid. We're not going into, you know, how to splint and transport them to the hospital. We handle emergencies during business hours. After business hours, here's who we refer to. Click here to learn more. Now the learn more page, when they click that button, that page has more information, just like Megan said. Then you guide them to, okay, here's our information and our hours. If it's after our hours, here's the information for where we refer. Here's some common emergencies where, hey, yeah, you really do need to come in right now. Please call ahead, et cetera, right? That's where you can get into that. But the FAQ section, really, we're talking short and sweet answers. Now, all the dots that are making it hard to read the questions here, the red dots are people visiting this practice's website for the first time. So those I like to think about as pet parents who are shopping for a new practice, right? New veterinarian, trying to find answers to their questions quickly. And this is where you can also use the FAQs as kind of a little bit of a selling tool. So if you are fear-free certified, one of your FAQ questions might be, what's the benefit of taking my pet to a fear-free certified practice, right? Again, couple sentences. I have some clients who they don't even put sentences, they just put the fear-free video in there, the pet parent-facing video, because if people have the option to read or to watch something, they're gonna watch something, right? So you can kind of use it that way a little bit too. How the white dots are returning visitors to the website. So those might even be existing clients who now are looking for more details on a specific service. So maybe they've come to you before for an exam or something, and now they're having an emergency, but they're like, oh my God, I've never talked to you about an emergency before. I don't know what I need to do, right? And they're looking for that information. So think about it from the aspect of both types of clients, so new clients and existing clients, what kind of questions they're asking. Now, these 5 questions on her website were 17% of the clicks on her homepage. So I mentioned before, where numbers in marketing are smaller, right? 17% is a huge number. That equates to over 1,800 clicks on her homepage. So we're talking all these different, you know, the menu they can click on, contact, all these different things, right? The FAQs were 1,800 clicks of people trying to read and get answers to their questions. Let's think about if that was 1,800 phone calls to your practice, right? Think about the time that you've saved here. Even if it's half of that, the time that you're saving is just absolutely immense. That's why I love, love, love this tool. I hope everybody leaves and immediately goes to talk to their front desk team about that.
Yeah, I mean, this is really taking home that efficiency, right? This is what this is doing. It's really helping your practice capitalize on the type of tools that you already have in existence to make your team more efficient. And that's exactly what this is doing. I love
Yep,
it.
absolutely. All right, any questions coming in on FAQs before we go to tool number 4?
So I have a question coming in. This question's coming out of California. How many questions top should you have on a page? When do clients stop reading?
Love that question. So what I usually recommend, if you're gonna have the FAQs on your homepage, which I do recommend, keep it to 5 or 6. Keep it to like those really big ones, right? Now, you might end up with 10 or 15 questions, so what do? Right? I have clients who they'll pick those top 5, they put them on the homepage, and then there's a button right below that that says View All FAQs. And then it takes you to a page where really you can have as many as you want. I'm not going to see you, I'm not going to want to see you have like scrolling and scrolling and scrolling FAQs. But the benefit of laying it out in a way like this, what we call this is like toggles or like read mores, right? Is your pet parents can actually skim the page very quickly that way. So we're talking, generally we talk about attention spans, right? In marketing, people's attention span is like 4 seconds or less. It's really sad. But if they're skimming because they're looking for a specific question, if we make it really easy for them to just see all the questions, right? They might skip past half your page because they're skimming down, they go, oh, that's what I was wondering. That's the one they click on, they open it, they get to see their information. So because that's how people work with FAQs, you really can have as many as you need, as long as you make it very easy for them to actually just see the questions and then only have to read through the answers to the question that they're looking for. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
That makes sense. Absolutely. Thank
All
you.
right, awesome, of course. All right, so tool number 4, live chat and texting. So in groups past, I've been very pleasantly surprised with the direction that practices are going. It sounds like we have more and more people implementing one or the other of these tools. I think people are starting to recognize that everything's going this direction, right? Again, if we go to the phone call thing, if it frees up a phone line, right, that's probably the biggest time saver I can offer you. So there's these tools. The reason I talk about them together is because they really can serve a very similar purpose. So we're talking about either a live chat widget on the website, where it pops up when someone visits your website and they can initiate the conversation, or you can, depending on the platform that you use, or a texting option that allows clients to send a text directly to you, that is marketed on the website too, because you want this tool to work not only for existing clients, but for potential clients as well. Maybe you don't have FAQs, but they have a quick question. They just want to send that text or that chat message to you, right? Now, why should we do this? First of all, like I said, we're saving a phone call, right? You're also going to have, when you have a live chat or texting option, less specifically dedicated employee time. So if I'm on the phone with a client, with a pet parent, I can only be on the phone with that one pet parent, right? But if I'm texting them, I might be texting 5 at once and answering their questions, right? Additionally, it's easy for after hours communication. If you want to open that road, you don't have to, but I have some clients that have used it for that because it's a little less invasive, right, than answering a phone call in the evening. Now, the most important thing, though, that I can tell you is 67% of consumers prefer a text to a phone call. I'm one of those people. I'm sure some of you are. I don't know, Megan, if you're one of those people too.
Oh, yeah.
That was just last year that information came out, 67%. So if well over half of the market prefers texting to phone call, it's relatively easy to implement. We're going to talk about that next. There is no reason to not do this in the practice. So how do we do it? There's so many options. You all have probably been sold on it before. So go, look at all the options you have. For texting, there are some options that are very familiar with the veterinary industry. Zipwhip is one of them. I know Megan and Angel, I think you have some practices that use Ally. Is it Ally
Mhm.
DBM, I think?
Yep. There's different, there's different kinds of systems that you can have built into your PIM system. So,
Mhm.
you're looking at Ally, you're looking at other types of organizations out there. There's types of phone systems that offer an additional kind of texting feature.
Yep.
I think when we go into this, there's no right or wrong answer. I mean, we've heard of practices, Cassandra. I remember the last meeting we had about this, that they bought a cell phone, that there was legitimately a cell phone that they used, that they took pictures of recovering surgical patients and texted it to their owners, that they rotated amongst staff members. And while that might not fit every practice's needs, it fit their needs just fine. So I think when you're looking at really wanting to bring in texting to your practice, if you haven't already, get out there, ask fellow managers, ask other owners what they're using, what worked for their practice, and then try some things, because it may be what you start with isn't what you end up with. But you're out there and you're really starting to see what's going to work best for your practice.
Yep, absolutely. And that's something great too, is all these plans for live chat and for texting. Pretty much everyone I've seen, it's a month to month, or they offer a month to month option. So it's not like you're signing up for this and you're stuck for a year, right? Again, you can dip your toe in the water. You can test it not for a year, you can test it for a month or a couple months, see how your team works with it, find the right groove, and then decide whether you want to keep going with it or not. It's not like you're stuck to it, thankfully. Now, for the live chat option, this is, I think, another one of those that sounds a little scary, but it's actually so easy to implement on your website.
This is my favorite. I think this is one of my favorite tools that you have, Cassandra. I love this feature.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. So this, the platform that I usually recommend is called Tidio. I do want to say, any of the companies that I've mentioned today or will mention, I don't have an affiliation with them. These are just, the reason they're included here is because I've used them, my clients have used them, and they really are easy to use. I don't have any kind of benefit really from telling you this. That is why I want to tell you, I firmly believe in Tidio as a platform for veterinary practices. Number one, because they have a forever free plan. So if you really are just dipping your toe in the water, what better way to do it than to not have to spend any money on it, right? So you can set up your free account with them and then kind of go through, it's kind of fun, honestly, going through the setup process of it. And then you implement it on the website. It's another one of those copy paste kind of things. And then you have live chat on the website. You can test it out and really hopefully harness more pet parent shoppers through the website doing it, answer more of those quick questions from your existing pet parents, and really a very easy to implement way.
And I had a comment that came through on the live chat feature, and that was essentially, I'm going to paraphrase here, they were worried that they would be inundated with live chats. You would have a front desk CSR being on the phone, maybe she's texting at the same time with their text feature, and now a ton of live chats are coming through. And I just wanted to let this person know that you're not going to have hundreds of live chats come through. It's a great feature, but it's going to be slow to really start. I think you're going to see a slow increase on your website and people using that live chat function, but it's very manageable. Now, if it gets crazy and suddenly you're getting a ton of live chats, I think that's telling us two things. One, you guys are doing really well with marketing and people using your website and coming to your website for information. But two, you may want to start marketing other ways that clients can reach out to you. So you have that live chat, but maybe that client would really like to use the texting feature. So you can kind of move them off the live chat area and more into other designated areas of communication that you want in your practice.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And two, if it's being used that much, that shows you that it's needed too, most importantly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because people want to interact that way a lot of times.
And this isn't a bot. I feel like we should probably say that this isn't a bot that is communicating on your behalf. This is, you're getting an alert with Tidio. You're getting an alert that something that a message is coming through on that live feature, or on the live chat feature, and you or your CSR, your designated person, is there responding to that client. So it's not a robot. You can set that up if you want it after hours, but this feature is very customizable because it's you communicating with that client. You can decide when you want that feature on your website. You can say you want it only available during working hours. You can say that, you want it only available, for 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon. It's 100% customizable on how you want to utilize it. If there's not going to be anyone monitoring it in the evening, I recommend taking it off so that function is not visible to your clients and no one's answering. So again, it's what's going to fit best for your practice.
Yep, absolutely. That's why it's one of my favorite tools, is because it really can be formed to exactly how you need it. And it really fills such an important need.
Yeah, and the one thing too that I like to reiterate is that think about when you live chat with something. Like I was live chatting with Delta Airlines like last week. It probably took her a good 10 minutes to respond to each of my messages, which we're used to that. So it didn't bother me. It came to my phone, so I didn't have to worry about it. So I think don't put the pressure on yourself. Like I have to promptly respond like right away. You can say, all right, give me a minute to get that information for you. Cause that's what they're used to seeing when they're doing these live chats on a regular basis. So
Absolutely.
just keep that in mind. Like
Yep.
The pressure doesn't have to be on like that.
Of course. And actually that brings up a good point too, Angel. All the tools that we're talking about today, the reason these are tools that are important to implement for veterinary practices is because every other industry is doing it. They've been doing it. And because they've been doing it, some for years, consumers are already used to it. Your pet parents, their live chat or text interaction with you, I guarantee you it's not their first live chat or text interaction with a business. They've already gone down that road. So exactly to Angel's point, like they're used to it. Don't put so much pressure on yourself that it has to go perfect, because they've done it before and they're not going to be fazed by it. All right, tool number 5, careers page. So this one's a little different than the other tools we've talked about, because it's really kind of it can be a set it and forget it kind of tool, but it really does a lot of great work for you. So basically what we're talking about is a little more than a careers page. We're talking really about a recruiting page. So this page, I want you to outline not just here's what we're hiring for and here's how you apply, but I want you to talk about, okay, here's the open positions at the practice, the requirements for the positions, the benefits of working at our practice. I'm not talking about mentioning salary or specific, discounts or whatever it might be. I'm just talking about why should they want to work there? What's great about working at your practice? For the bigger positions like veterinarians, where they're very likely going to be relocating to your area, why do they want to live in your city? What are all of your team's favorite things about living there, right? And then lastly, how to apply. So maybe you get a little bonus and you use an online form to create the employee application, or you have the application document on there, or you have a way for them to submit their resume to you from that page. Either way, we're talking about a pretty robust page that really is going to serve as a 24/7, 365 recruiter for you, right? And the great thing is you have this page set up, and once you do that, all you have to worry about from that point forward is updating positions that are open, right? Which is going to be a relatively fast thing, whether you're updating it or you're asking your website company to do it for you. So why do we want to do this? Number one, having this on your website, along with all the other information that's more pet parent focused, really allows candidates to see what your practice is all about and see if you're a good fit, right? So they're not just seeing you as one of 100 job listings on a job board, right? Where it's just like, okay, another technician, right? And this is a city I'm looking for, and this listing happens to fit the filters that I set, so I'm going to apply, right? if they're on your website, they are seeing the personality of how you talk to your pet parents, what's important to you as a practice, you know, really just all these ways that you communicate and the personality and the services that you offer, and really figure out, like, is this a place that I want to work? So it's kind of serves as a filter for you too, so that by the time people are applying through this page, they really have a good idea of what your practice is and they know that they really want to work there, right? And then secondly, it's free, right? So you can still do the job boards. I suggest that you do whatever works for you, right? But there's really no reason not to have this on your website, you know, where people can, you know, see it and send it out and really get a good feel for the practice. So how do you want to do this? Number one, you have to get the information together, right? So obviously you know what the positions are and the requirements and benefits, but what you could do too is ask your team, what are your favorite things about working here? I've had some practices do that. Kind of to Megan's point earlier, it's another opportunity for a team building exercise. Get some gratitude and excitement going in the team, right? By saying, what's everyone's favorite reason for working here? We want to put that on our careers page, right? To get people really excited about being a part of your team. So you're going to put together that information, and then you either, again, send it to your website provider. Hopefully they'll set up the page for you, or whoever on your team is managing website edits. Any questions on this one?
So I have a question that's coming in, and I also have a piece that I want to add before we get into this question. This piece is kind of going off of what you said, Cassandra, about what you want to add in this careers page. And this is a place where you want to be very specific with the requirements for a job. And this is going to tie into the question too, because the question was, how do I keep my clients from sending me resumes for jobs I have posted when they have no qualifications except being a pet owner, which I think is kind of what is in the back of our head. Why we haven't done this as a practice managers, we're afraid that we're going to be inundated with, you know, Miss Susan, and Miss Susan's been a client forever and she loves cats and dogs and she's owned them, so that makes her a perfect candidate to be, you know, our next client service representative or our next veterinary assistant. So this, having a careers page, you want to be specific, and I urge you to use very veterinary specific terms. So you're really outlining what your technician's responsibilities, should they come and work for you, are, and you're using those terms that really reflect the kind of training that a veterinary technician needs. Or same with your front desk staff. You really want to outline that they need to have these, you know, these sets of skills, so that you are kind of, you're not advertising to your pet parents that want a job at the practice, but instead you're advertising because maybe that pet parent has a friend who's a veterinarian in a different state and they're looking at wanting to move to your city. Or, you know, maybe there's a technician in the same city that your practice is in, and she's looking at wanting to, you know, make a change in practice. And so she's Googling all of the different practices in our area and comes across this page. So it's why it's very important to be very specific on the careers page.
Yep, absolutely. Very good points. All right. So unless we have any other questions on the careers page thing, I have a question for everyone else, because I want to know if I reached my goal today. So here we have a recap of the 5 tools that we've gone over. So we talked about online forms, online bill pay, FAQs, live chat and texting, and the careers page. So I really want everyone to walk away from this, revisit the 5 tools, think about one that you want to implement. So we've had some awesome overachievers in our past talks who were like, I'm going to do all of them. And I applaud that. I think it would be awesome if you did. But what I really encourage you to do, so that we don't get like this paralysis from wanting to do everything, is pick one to start with, right? So maybe you pick FAQs and you say, okay, this is the one I'm going to do because tomorrow we have our team meeting and I can talk to everybody about what the questions are. And then next month you pick another one, right? But either way, these are the ones that I really think you'll find the most lift in the practice from doing this. And I would really love to see lots of you implement them on your website.
Yeah, and keep us posted. So this is all of Cassandra's information. Email her as you kind of do some of these different add-ons to your website. We want to know how it worked for you, your pros, your cons, all of that good stuff, so we can share that information. So I urge you to email Cassandra, or you can email me at megans@verticalvet.com, and keep me up to date too, because this is all information that we can share with others in this industry, so that we are really, creating this support system for everybody out there.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me and for listening, and happy optimizing to everyone out there.
Yes, Cassandra, thank you so much, you guys. Listeners, those of you that are watching us, thank you for coming in today. Angel, I appreciate you being here as well. If you guys have any other questions, comments, concerns, again, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email address is megans@verticalvet.com. Ladies, thank you so much for your time today, and I look forward to what we're going to be doing in the future. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right.